Hello, in this video we're going to talk about 3 podcasts that I sort of listened to. Some are new, some that I've only just been introduced to, and I thought I must share these with you. One educational, one that's a bit sort of just very interesting listening, and the third one is something just a bit different, see if you're interested from that way. So the first one is You're Not a Frog. This is a superb podcast and it covers a wide range of issues, and yes, it's recorded by a GP who will sort of take very interesting guests talking a lot about productivity, resilience training, take away so many useful productivity hints and tips of that I would then bring into the workplace. The one brilliant one that I'm trying to sort of bring into my daily life is how you use your admin time. And the idea being that you say you've got half an hour of admin time, and I don't know about you, but I subdivide it. I've got bloods, letters, tasks, and sort of any other lists and whatnot, and documents, and etc. So you've got all these different bits that come in. How do you sort of get through them? Now, I was aware of the idea of batching. So for example, if you're going to do bloods, you spend all of your time doing bloods and you don't do anything else, because the idea of you sort of jumping in and out of different bits and pieces to do, you're less efficient. Didn't realise is that you take that whole hour, say you've got, and that you get into the habit of doing, right, the first 15 minutes I'll do bloods, the second 15 minutes I'll do letters, the third 15 minutes I'll do tasks, and the fourth 15 minutes I'll do anything else that I've got left to do, say emails. And if you maintain that rhythm and you maintain that similarity, then actually you'll keep on top of things, and that you'll be able to sort of just, use your time more efficiently, because your brain is naturally wired then to expect that to come. I thought that was brilliant. And that's only just one tip. That was just from one podcast. Well worth listening to, especially on your long commute. The second one is a bit more relaxed, but just thoroughly interesting, and slight caveat, it's Will from All About Doctors Radio, and I'm actually on this one, so I'm going to leave a link in the description. And effectively he's a GP that's down south, and he will interview some fascinating doctors, and we'll just let them talk. Okay, and these podcasts are long, like really long, like an hour and a half to 3 hours, that sort of pitch. But he is a phenomenal interviewer, and will just sort of bring out these really interesting aspects of people's lives, and is just well worth a listen to. I think the highlights for me, Dr. David Unwin, and obviously all of his work with low carbohydrate diets and whatnot, sort of trying to get into his mindset. And it's fantastic how that he's made such a phenomenal career shift at what you would argue is the sort of the latter parts of his GP career, where I think at the time we were recording he was saying is about mid to late 50s, that sort of age, where you expect some GPs just to basically just sort of winding things down, and he's had a complete different shift in his career and has gone the other way. So that was fascinating. The last podcast that he dropped talked about was an interview with the chap who designed eConsult, and that was amazing, just to sort of get into his mindset of how they created eConsult, where they think the future of healthcare is, and from that point of view. And actually I reached out to him on Twitter only because one of his throwaway comments was about using it in an urgent treatment centre, and so I messaged him saying wife works in A&E, I'm sort of got a couple of contacts in the urgent treatment centre, which is now becoming GP led. What are your, what's this all about? And he said yeah, completely get it. Follow this link, and then it was sort of bit. So it's actually just these very fascinating doctors, and you can feel free to have a listen to my one. I go into quite a lot of depth about my military career, why I left, and how ultimately I've completely shifted my life around, hopefully for the better. It's quite personal, it's quite deep, so if you've got a couple of hours, then feel free, just go away, have a listen, and just let me know. Hope you find it useful. The third podcast is VidIQ. So people often, I've had a couple of people ask us why do you get into this YouTube stuff, what do you use? And I just use VidIQ, which is not only it's got a couple of streams, so actually it's it's an app that sits within your Creator browser or within your Google Chrome effectively, and it will sort of give you hints and tips on how to build it up. Now the initial part is free, and it will just give you sort of little tips of how to sort of get your videos on the go, but they've got a really good YouTube channel which will give you all these different tips and hints and pieces. And the third part as well is that they give really, really interesting podcasts, and they'll look at, you know, they'll go anywhere from starting out, what equipment to buy, you know, how do you shoot things, to then sort of looking at the wider stuff like how you can use your YouTube channel to sort of build up brands, get up subscriptions, make deals, make actually money from it. And so it's just a very, very interesting podcast. So I hope you found that useful. 3 very different podcasts and sort of what's on my sort of listening at the moment. So, you know, just make sure you go and check them out. You're Not a Frog, all about Doctors Radio. And then if you're interested in YouTube stuff, the VidIQ podcast is very, very well worth a listen. Okay, I've been Dr. Dave Highmarsh at GB Templates. Please click the subscribe button and comment below if you've got any other suggestions for podcasts that you think I should listen to and review. That'll be really useful. Many thanks. Have a wonderful day.